Africa's youth is unemployed, and the crisis has got worse during the COVID-19 pandemic. Activists and economists have urged government to do more to address the disaster. Youth Capital has now introduced a campaign to try and reduce unemployment among young people. Let's speak to Project Lead at Youth Capital, Kristal Duncan-Williams, who's joining us live now on Newsweek PM. Kristal, always great to chat to you. Welcome to the program. So what exactly are you doing to tackle youth unemployment?
Well, at Youth Capital, we really look to bring young people's lived experiences and their voices to the table, and pairing that together with research and evidence to put forward publications like our latest publication, Unlock Jobs. And we partner with existing organizations to put forward solutions that we know work, and are bottom-up as opposed to the top-down solutions we've seen in the past from government and the private sector.
And just talk about that, what you are finding as far as what's needed to deal with unemployment among South Africa's youth versus what is stated in government policy and the pronouncements that have been made about interventions going forward.
So, if we look at the publication we launched on Thursday, we have a particular focus on making public employment work for young people. So if we think about the Basic Education Employment Initiative, which the government had phase 1, which ended in April of this year, and phase 2 is about to start shortly. And these public works programs are looking to be a big push from government with billions being invested. And so we're saying if we are going to invest this kind of money, public money, into creating short-term job opportunities, then we need to make them really matter for young people. And how do we do that? We ensure that there's mentoring on the job for young people, that they get a core set of competencies and skills that they can use to access a next opportunity, and that they get information and pathway into a next opportunity, so that it doesn't become a case of an income for a couple of months and then they're back at home, without a job or without studying opportunities.
And what you said about upskilling and training people is quite important, because it ties in what you said at your briefing on Thursday, that we need certification, because we live in an economy currently where if you don't have a piece of paper that you can show to say you've learned A, B, C, and D, it becomes even harder to get a job. And yes, we know that even qualified people are also struggling.
Yes, especially in a country with such high unemployment rates, employers can be as picky as they like. And so young people really need as much help as they can to signal the skills they have. And one way we do that is through certificates, from a matric certificate through to post-school certificates. And in our publication, we unpack some of the things that we can do to make that route to certification easier, making the second chance or rewrite matric program work a little bit better, giving young people more information around that, making the process of getting the work-based learning component more accessible for young people who are doing technical and vocational training, and also looking at the grade 9 certificate or the general education certificate policy, which is up for discussion now. And how do we make these policies really impactful, that young people's certificates are easy for them to get, and also that they're valued by employers.
And I'd imagine, Kristal, the hope then is that it could go a long way in addressing, for example, the people who are covered in the expanded definition of unemployment, South Africans who've simply given up and lost all hope of finding work.
Yes, and I think a lot of times we think young people are just, apathetic, sitting at home doing nothing. And I can guarantee you that young people are always doing something. But what gets in the way, and the reason they say often they've given up, is because they don't have money to look for work. And that's another key component of our report, is the cost of job seeking. The stats from 2018, and we're actually busy putting together a survey now with some updated numbers. But young people can spend in the region of nearly 1,000 Rand a month looking for work. And so if you don't have that money, then you have to give up looking. You don't really have a choice. And so how do you look for solutions that are cheaper, so you can use things like accelerated platforms or WhatsApp chatbots? And we unpack some of that in the publication.
We started at this point, but I want to circle back to it, leveraging public employment programs. A great deal of them exist, but why aren't they functioning optimally?
I think that we don't think enough about the training and the onboarding that is needed for the host, whoever the host is, whether that's placing a young person at a government clinic, placing them at a school. Government recruits these young people and then kind of puts them in these positions. But what we really need is that the placement is in a place where young people can get this supervision. The whole idea is that these young people have never had work experience. So they need somebody to hold their hand, to explain to them how to behave in the workplace, what is expected, what their responsibilities are. And young people, when they don't have that, the experience becomes a little bit meaningless. And I think that together with, the exit pathways I mentioned earlier, and the core competencies that are transferable skills that they can use, basic computer skills, etc. These are the kinds of things we need to make part of those employment programs to really make them worth the investment.
And you've been able, based on your action plan published, I think it was in 2020, at the height of the pandemic, to put together about 50 organizations to collaborate on a way forward. But in broader or wider South African context, how easy is it for collaboration to happen, especially between the public and private sectors? Because ultimately, it's not going to be one of them that can do it alone as far as job creation.
Exactly, and that's why we think the action plan we've put forward is so critical, because we think that we've thought about youth unemployment, and either we need to get young people educated or we need to create jobs. But what we failed to take into account is that young people are on a journey from leaving school all the way through to finding a job or creating a sustainable livelihood. And no one organization can address that entire journey, which is why our 10-point action plan, it's really great that over the course of the last year, we've had over 50 organizations say we believe in this plan, because it's going to take from the smaller organizations all the way through to big government and corporate. Everybody has to play their part in this if we really want to tackle this crisis head on.
Kristal Duncan-Williams, good to speak to you. Thank you so much.